Okay, let's unpack this. We're starting our deep dives today with something a little different. Not a dense academic paper, but a single, really profound, and almost impossibly simple spiritual instruction.
Yeah, and it comes from a place of deep silence. It kind of offers a radical shortcut to understanding divinity.
So to get this,
Mhm.
you have to picture the setting. It's a quiet, forested hermitage in Kentucky.
Right.
And the story involves Friar Richard Rohr.
Mm.
At this place, there was a man who was, well, a total recluse. The source material actually calls him a hermit's hermit.
Which says a lot. This isn't just someone who likes their quiet time.
Exactly. This was someone who chose the deep woods, barely ever interacting with anyone. He'd only show up for the community on, big holidays like Christmas or Easter,
So a man of very, very few words.
the fewest. So one afternoon, Rohr's just walking along a path, and he sees this recluse coming back, heading back into his solitude.
Hmm.
And out of respect for this, for silence, Rohr just steps aside, bows his head. He's expecting the man to just walk right past.
But he doesn't.
He stops. He actually stops him.
And right there, in that one moment, the entire focus of our deep dive today was born. The man who has dedicated his life to silence has a singular message.
What does he say?
He looks at the friar and says, "You get to preach, and I don't. When you preach, just tell the people one thing. God is not out there."
Wow. That's it?
That's it. And then he just walked on.
God is not out there.
It's the simplest phrase, but it just shatters centuries of ingrained religious thinking, you know? It left this indelible mark on Rohr precisely because it forces a complete reorientation of the whole spiritual quest.
So that's our mission for you today. We are going to explore what that one instruction, God is not out there, what it truly implies for how we understand reality, our bodies, the entire universe.
It's a deep dive into the absolute immediate presence of the divine.
And the implications are just monumental.
Yeah.
So let's start there with that definitional shift. If we take what the recluse said literally, and God is not out there, not outside of us, not outside the universe.
Yeah, not distant in time and space.
Right. Then the question is, where is God? If God isn't transcendent, separate, elevated, far away, what's the alternative?
Well, the alternative is radical immanence. It's a huge word, but a simple idea.
Okay.
When we define God as out there, we're talking about transcendence, and that has, historically been the dominant way of thinking about it. God is the detached clockmaker, sort of governing from afar.
That makes sense.
But this instruction forces us to embrace immanence. God is in here right now.
In here.
Within us, within creation, within the whole cosmos, not as some kind of visitor, but as the foundational reality of the thing itself.
What's fascinating here is that the moment you accept that immanence, the entire geometry of the relationship just collapses.
It completely dissolves the separation. That gap between creator and creation, it's gone.
So the universe isn't some puppet show managed by a remote deity.
Exactly. It is the manifestation of the divine presence itself.
It changes the entire spiritual vocabulary then. We stop talking about connecting with God.
And start talking about recognizing the connection that's already there.
It's an immediate presence, not some future goal you have to strive for.
Precisely. And when we say God is explicitly present, it forces us to re-examine what we even mean by sacred. If God is the foundational reality, and that reality dwells here, where does that leave our old divisions between sacred and profane?
It eliminates them.
It has to.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because if the divine dwells within, the consequences of realizing that are, well, they're utterly radical. What happens when we genuinely integrate this idea?
The primary consequence is just this resultant sacredness. If the holy lives within, then we are sacred.
Okay.
Our physical bodies are sacred. Nature, the entire universe, it's all sacred. And this is a profound reversal of so many traditions that saw the material world as, lesser.
Or something to be overcome. That's a huge distinction. Historically, many traditions, even strains within Christianity, preached this kind of asceticism, right? It often involved despising the body, seeing it as a prison for the soul.
Yes, the goal was to escape the physical to get to the spiritual.
But this instruction just flips that on its head.
Completely. If God is not out there, then the body can't possibly be a mistake or some burden you have to escape from. It has to be a sacred vessel.
The very location where God's presence resides.
And expresses itself in the world, yeah. It resacralizes the dirt and the matter.
And the source is clear that this isn't some new age idea, but actually the radical core of what historical figures were trying to get across.
Absolutely. The source says if we have the inner eyes to see, This is precisely what figures like Jesus came to reveal.
How so?
Well, think about the symbolism. He symbolized the ultimate union, right? The union of the sacred and the human, the sacred and the body.
And the sacred and the material.
Crucially, the material. The bread and the wine, I mean, you can't get more common or material than that. And those are the symbols for the deepest possible communion.
That's not a celebration of a God who is far away.
No, it's a celebration of immanence. It underscores that whole concept of Emmanuel, God with us. God is literally present in the most accessible, ordinary parts of our existence.
The message is that you don't need to climb a mountain or find some distant temple.
The divine is embedded in your daily bread.
That sounds incredibly liberating. But let's be honest, our human default setting, it seems to be separation. We spend our lives searching out there for everything.
For happiness, for success, for fulfillment.
So why do we do that? Why do we push God away? And what is the cost of ignoring this presence that's right here?
This raises an important question, doesn't it? What is the price of that self-imposed exile? When we perceive the divine as distant, we essentially make ourselves orphans. We disconnect the creation from its creator.
The consequences are devastating.
Yeah, and they show up everywhere, not just in our spirituality, but in our psychology, our culture, everything.
So let's detail those consequences outlined in the source, because they really paint a picture of a fractured, disconnected life.
The first one, and it's maybe the most painful, is we lose our sense of inherent belovedness.
What do you mean about that?
If God is far away, we can't help but feel like a project that needs to be fixed or completed, rather than a creature that is fundamentally loved and accepted right now. We start searching externally for worthiness,
instead of recognizing it internally. That explains why self-worth is such a huge cultural issue. If your value comes from a connection you constantly have to strive for, you're never going to feel secure.
Exactly. And the second consequence goes right back to what we were just talking about, the body.
Right.
When the divine is exiled, the body can start to feel like a burden, an obstacle, or even something actively sinful that we need to subdue or escape.
You create a conflict.
You create an adversarial relationship. If the spirit is out there and the body is in here, you get this internal fragmentation. It fuels shame, self-neglect, that constant urge to disconnect from our own physical presence.
It's impossible to see your body as sacred if you believe the holy die to live somewhere else.
You just can't. And the third consequence, this one shifts from the personal to the planetary.
When we project God out there, we also remove holiness from nature.
And then what happens? Nature becomes something to be exploited. It's just a utility. It's not sacred, something to be cherished and protected.
So if the divine is only in a church or on a holy mountain,
then the forest is just raw material. The river is just a drainage ditch.
It seems like that error, that separation, has fueled so much of the environmental crisis.
It has arguably been the intellectual justification for it. We gave ourselves permission to treat the world as a resource without any intrinsic spiritual value.
Wow, that makes profound sense. If the forest floor is holy, you treat it very differently than if it's just lumber waiting to be cut. And what's the final consequence?
The material world itself, everything we touch and see, feels empty of holiness. It becomes purely functional. We lose the sense of wonder, the sense of depth.
The feeling that ordinary life is charged with meaning.
Right, and that fuels consumerism because we're constantly trying to fill that spiritual void with things. With external goods we mistake for joy. We're looking for the divine in the next purchase.
Because we failed to realize it was already here in the experience we're having right now.
Exactly.
That is a staggering price tag for a simple misunderstanding of location. But the central anchoring truth, no matter how we perceive it, is that God is here.
The reality is stable. Our perception might be fractured, but the truth remains.
And recognizing this truth, moving from separation to integration, that's the journey, as the source notes.
It is. Awakening to God's presence in ourselves and others in the universe.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes deliberate practice. You have to train those inner eyes to see what the outer eyes have been taught to ignore.
And the beautiful paradox here is that we don't have to do anything to make it true. We just have to recognize the reality that's already holding everything together. The logical anchor in the source is so powerful. If God were not here right now at the core of existence, nothing could exist at all. This presence is the sustaining force of being.
And this isn't a new concept. The source grounds this in Scripture with that reference from the book of Acts.
What does it say?
It's Paul speaking, and he says, "In him we live and move and have our being."
In him we live and move and have our being.
If we live and move and are within the divine, then existence itself isn't a journey away from God, but an immersion in God. Our bodies aren't something we drag to a finish line. They're the stage upon which the divine is performing.
This beautifully summarizes the core shift in spiritual practice. The journey, then, is not about going farther. It's not about seeking outwardly for something you're missing.
It's about going deeper.
Deeper into the reality that is already present, already sustaining, and already whole. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? I mean, it means the focus shifts radically. From that external striving to an internal awareness.
The recluse gave us the map. Stop looking out there.
The map isn't the territory. The map is you.
And the final encouragement in the Source is a really simple call to action. It's a call to open our inner eyes to see the God who dwells within. The knowledge is there, but the transformation requires practice.
The work is simply to wake up to what is already true. So here's a final thought to take with you. If you take that one powerful instruction from the recluse seriously, and you truly internalize this idea that your body is sacred because the divine dwells within it, how might that change things?
Yeah.
How might that recognition fundamentally change your daily actions, your approach to health, to movement, to your physical presence in the world? Is your body a machine to be fixed, or is it a sacred temple to be honored? That's something to mull over as you continue your journey deeper.